Hi, hey y'all, welcome to the Norse Nexus. We're a new channel. We are from the south, so mind the dialect and everything. Y'all get it, I'm sure.
If they're from the south, they get it.
I'm sure they get it even if they're not from the south. Or they won't, I don't know. So here's the thing. We're going to talk about good and evil, why it's a problem in this religion, the way it's viewed currently, and all the things that come along with that, right? So I'm Rabbit.
I'm Lee.
Yep. There you go.
And we'll hit you with some facts.
And Skull. Skull. Okay, some good beer. Okay.
Alright. Why good and evil technically doesn't or shouldn't exist in not just Norse paganism, but pretty much any paganism.
Most religions that aren't specifically duality based.
I think it's mainly the Christian religion that revolves around the whole good and evil dynamic.
Yeah, like that's a main function of that. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so coming from a Christian background, way back when, duality of good and evil is very heavily. I grew up Catholic for a while, so I changed my ways like a good man. And the best thing to say would be, if you're looking at things through just one lens, you don't have all the information. Without all the information, you can't make a good decision. You're going off a bias. And
or emotion.
Or emotion, and that's not good logic, and we need good logic to make good choices. So, one thing I've heard, Loki is like our devil, or Loki is evil, Loki started Ragnarok, Loki kills the gods, Loki's a bad guy, right? A mischievous guy, sure, 110%.
Conniving, definitely.
Yeah.
Evil? No.
Loki is only evil if you look at Loki through the lens of only an Aesir. But if you look at Loki through the lens of other jhotun, or even people who might venerate Loki because they like mischief in their life, they like to play little few practical jokes, they wouldn't see him as evil at all. Mischievous as hell, not necessarily evil.
Well, I mean, he doesn't really do that many evil things. He does a lot of mischievous things. But the only thing that I could see that could actually be labeled as evil would be causing Baldur's death.
That
could be looked at as evil.
And that is what everyone points to. Let's be honest, that is what everyone points to.
It is.
110%.
Because that's the only example they have.
He killed Baldur, causing Ragnarok. He insulted all the gods.
Yeah.
And this is where the idea that I'm trying to state is coming from. Nowhere in any of these books, none of them, the Havamal doesn't tell you what an evil man is. Mm-mm. The Prose Edda doesn't tell you what an evil man is. A vicious man, a harsh man, a strict man, a cruel man, but not an evil man, because the idea of evil
is a Christian ideology.
It comes from a Christian ideology, yes. Even killing Baldur or facilitating the death of Baldur, he only does that after Frigg perversed the nature of life and death. If you're Norse pagan, you know what I'm talking about. We honor death. We look for and towards our death.
If you're not Norse pagan, explain that somewhat lightly.
If you're not Norse pagan,
what that means. If they're Norse pagan, they're going to get it, obviously.
To honor one's death is to live every day.
No, not that. He only did it.
Oh,
because she did that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I got what you're saying. So, if you're not Norse pagan, we have a very strong belief of death is important and everything starts and ends. There is a finish to everything. No one, not even the gods, will surpass everything. The gods can die. Our gods can die. We know that.
They're supposed to.
Kvasir died. Baldur died. Gods die too. So the idea that something can't die anymore, that is perverse to everything we believe. We honor a good death because we get to go and fulfill our duties in Valhalla, or you go to hell and have a great life, a great afterlife until the end days. It's not a forever life afterwards, though. We will all, at some point after Ragnarok, be gone. Even our spirit, our soul, everything will be done. So the idea that you're going to perverse that, twist that, say, oh, well, not my son is not going to. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen. That's very perverse. Mm-hmm. And for a mischievous person, that would be a taunt. That would be a challenge. Oh, you think you've done what you should have never done. Mm-hmm. Let's test it. Right. Let's test that theory. Go ahead.
These things to make it where you cannot be killed or you cannot die. Well, let's test that theory and see if you've actually succeeded or not. Which obviously she didn't, because,
Well, with trickery and things of that nature, it's not that hard to get all the information you want. That's one reason we need to look to Loki from time to time. Loki himself, other than that, he's done perverse things. He's not been the greatest of the gods, but what god is the greatest of the gods? Go ahead, tell me what they're going to tell me.
They're going to tell you Odin is the greatest.
They're going to tell me Odin is the greatest god.
But I'm here to tell you, you're wrong. He is absolutely not. And I have multiple reasons why.
He's a very wise god.
Oh, for sure.
He can be goodly in nature.
But he's not inherently good.
I do want to point out, if you'll let me, he is only good to the point where he's getting something for that goodness. And if goodness comes with a payment, is that being good and altruistic, or is that just getting what you want through behavior?
Right. Yeah.
Just saying.
He's not inherently good. And I have enough examples.
None of them are inherently good because they are all flawed.
No, but that's going to be the go-to. They're going to say, Odin is.
Odin or Thor.
Or Thor, yes, but...
Yeah, they're going to say Thor is a pillar.
Neither one of them are inherently good. They've both done what some would label as evil things. I don't label them as evil things. I just label them as necessities.
Well, and again, you can't label these things as evil.
And I'm going to tell you one of those examples as to why he's not. Excuse me. If you go to the Havamal, particularly, I'm using this one.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I'm pretty sure they can see that. Yeah.
Pretty good translations. But if you go to verse, I guess 105, in Maxims for Men, it talks about. Okay, I'm gonna read the verse first. Gunlad. That's how I'm gonna pronounce it because
Southern.
That's the best. Gunlad gave to me on her golden throne a drink of precious mead. And he's referring to the mead of poetry, of course. Our reward. I left her after having her, for her whole heart, for her sorrow for mine. So pretty much what had happened is he disguised himself as a giant named Bulwark to get into the hall, I guess you call it?
Yeah, get into their
get into the hall,
fort, castle,
and
hall.
Sleep with the giant's daughter. The giant's daughter being Gunlad.
Gunlad, yeah. Close enough.
To get the meat of poetry. And to extend on that, after this happened, Odin leaves the hall and goes back to Asgard, but he doesn't go back. I need to make sure this is clear. He doesn't go back to Asgard disguised as Bulwark. He goes back to Asgard just as himself, as Loki.
As Odin.
As Odin, I'm sorry, I'm talking about the wrong one.
They're very similar.
They're very similar. Odin does a
yeah.
lot of things like Loki. And then the giant's father goes to question Odin, saying, Bulwark's been here. I've seen him. He's been in Asgard. Well, Odin swears on his oath ring, on his armband, that Bolverk has never stepped foot in Asgard. Well, technically, he hasn't.
He has not.
Because when Odin returned, he wasn't dressed as Bolverk, he was dressed as Odin. So, now, tell me that's not deceitful and mischievous.
So what we're saying, that's a very good example, 100%, is that what's good for the goose, good for the gander, right? If Odin can trick people, manipulate people, steal from people, why can't Loki do the same? Why is Loki evil?
Labeled evil because he does it.
In the story of Brock and Sindri and the Brothers of Aldi, where he cuts off Sif's hair as a joke and has to make amends. Mm-hmm. And tricks them out of taking his head. Why is he evil, but Odin is not?
Well, see, another thing is...
It's looking a lot like favoritism at that
point. Odin did a lot of mischievous things. Another one that stands out to me is, you know what I'm talking about. When Odin and Thor having the discussion.
Yeah. He disguises himself as an old ferryman.
Yes. Across the river.
Yeah, across the river to Asgard that Thor has to cross.
They're talking about what they had been doing, and you want to read it?
What page?
It is.
We can paraphrase it, honestly.
It's Harvard's song. It's verse 30 to 34. But it's when Harvard is talking about sleeping with a bunch of women. That's 7, I believe, in specifically.
Right. Well, let's set it up. So Thor's coming back from fighting giants. Because Thor can just kill indiscriminately and it doesn't matter, but that's fine. We overlook that because we like Thor. Mm-hmm. Thor, we resonate with Thor, and he's one of our patron gods, and so we like him. So his misbehavior is forgiven. Anybody else's, like Fenrir, Jormungandr, no, can't forgive that. They're evil because Odin said so.
Right.
So Thor's coming back. He goes to the river to cross the river by ferry to save about 2 or 3 days off of his trip. Odin disguises himself to mess with his son. Mm-hmm. He's on the other side, and he says, have you eaten? Thor responds, and they go back and forth. He says, where have you been? Because while you've been gallivanting, I've been bedding women.
I believe he says 7 specifically.
Seven women.
7 specifically.
Thor says, I've been fighting giants in Jotunheim. Mm-hmm. What have you been doing, old man? He said, I've taken those women without their knowledge, I believe he says, something similar to that, without their giving consent. Thor responds with, if I was their old man, I'd have helped you hold their legs.
I would have held them down. And then Odin replies with, I would have trusted you to do so, or something along those lines.
And they keep going back and forth, and then Odin says, find your way back home, your wife is sleeping with another man.
Yes.
And Thor has to walk 3 extra days because he didn't get across the ferry, because he didn't win the Battle of Wits.
Going into that, the point I was trying to make is Odin openly admitted to forcing himself on women.
Yeah.
But he is inherently good.
The idea
according to most of people.
The idea that any god or goddess is good or bad
is a Christian concept.
The gods are the gods. They do good, they do bad. Do they do more good than bad? Maybe. Some don't. Who knows? It is hard to make that distinction, especially as mortals incapable of understanding the gods in that way.
And we never will.
They have knowledge beyond our knowledge, especially Odin. Mm-hmm. And this is not to bash on any god.
No, absolutely
you
not.
honor the god you want. No one's saying you can't. I'm just saying, if you're saying Thor can kill people, but Tyr can't, you might be biased. You might not have a good look on it. So maybe don't attack a Tyrsman when Thor's doing the same thing over here, or a similar thing over here. That's all we're saying. And in that vein, we'll get to Fenrir, who...
Why don't you take over that one?
Yeah, I mean, he's destined to do it. What can you say about that? And even destined to do it, Odin tried to be perverse yet again and force the dog to obey him. Mm-hmm. Force him to behave. Force destiny to change itself. Well, we don't have that ability. The web is the web, the weird is the weird, and we are all stuck to our own destiny.
Yep.
Like, you can't just change destiny. That's not how this works.
Nope.
So when he realized he couldn't, he demanded the dog be bound. At this point, only Tyr was able to feed him. Now, Tyr treated him like a friend. We know that. It's been written in the sagas and the songs. Mm-hmm. And Odin laughs as he pins the dog with Gleipnir. Like all of them laugh. They laugh at this wounded animal who has not yet done anything wrong,
nope.
but one day will do something wrong. Against his own will or judgment, he has no choice.
Nope. It's destiny. You don't have a choice. You have to do it.
So to look at Fenrir as evil instead of just
a necessity.
A necessity. It is what it is. Ragnarok can't happen without Fenrir, and Ragnarok must happen
yes.
because there must be an end, because that's what we believe. There is always a beginning, always an end. Some people believe it's a cycle, and that's fine too.
Mm-hmm.
Still needs to be an end to the cycle to start a new cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and we're not trying to bash on anybody's beliefs at all. We're just trying to get people to understand that what's good for one's good for the other, more or less.
You have to look at both sides. And if you look at both sides, if you look at Fenrir, Tyr, and Odin and the whole situation, and you go, no, I still think because Fenrir was sentient, he could have made a choice. And you still think he's evil? That's fine. That's your belief. I can't tell you what to do.
But at least you looked at it from both sides.
But at least you didn't do it with biases.
Right.
And at least you didn't attack somebody. I've seen this on Facebook, and it really needs to stop.
Mm-hmm. YouTube.
Why would you praise or honor Fenrir when he's destined to kill the greatest god? First off, no god is the greatest god. They all have their own roles, their own things. Odin is not known as the greatest god. He's known as the all-wise, along with 100 other names. None of them the greatest. He's not the strongest god. That is Thor. He's not the bravest god. That is Tyr. He's not the most honorable god, because that is Freyr. So to label him the greatest god, or this is a misconception, you're putting him in a higher pedestal than he should be. He is the leader or the chieftain.
Yes, absolutely.
Of the tribe. But even as a chieftain, he looks to counsel from the others. They have judgment seats. He himself does not rule high.
Right.
So that's one thing we need to get that across. You cannot attack people because they believe differently from you. Especially when your belief is only because you care for Odin as much as you do. And I'm glad you do. But understand that's a bias, and you're not looking at the whole thing through the scope of logic. You're looking through it emotionally. Mm-hmm. So, now we're going to get into Jormungandr. I mean, Fenrir is pretty simple.
Yeah, I got you. Now, okay. I'll close my book on myself.
Don't do that.
Jormungandr. I haven't outright seen many people that just inherently say that he is evil. But I haven't seen a lot that have said that he isn't either. One thing that I'm trying to get people to understand is, for one, he's also a necessity. He has to happen. It has to happen. He has to kill Thor during Ragnarok. It has to happen.
That's again the same thing as Fenrir. The same thing as all of the prophecies that are written through the carved into the tree.
Right. Where I'm at is a lot like Fenrir. He's very, very, very misunderstood, especially by Thor's men, because he kills Thor, so they automatically just don't like him. But
go ahead.
In any of the sagas, if you look, Jormungandr never seeks out conflict with Thor or anyone else. Any conflict that Jormungandr and Thor have had, Thor has initiated and started.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Therefore, if you look at it the right way, Jormungandr is just protecting himself. He's never initiated a conflict with Thor, or anyone else for that matter. Thor initiated those conflicts. He is just defending himself.
I can definitely see that belief. Especially the first interaction that Thor ever has. Jormungandr was just in the water. Here comes an ox head. Any animal would have done the same. They were even fishing for whale.
Right.
Jormungandr gets pulled up, and what is the first thing Thor does? Mjolnir head,
Well,
which
yeah.
is kind of his go-to.
I mean, yeah, right.
100%.
He should have.
Why wouldn't he have done that?
What I'm saying is he's misunderstood because he's never sought out conflict. Any conflict Jormungandr has been in any of the sagas, he was attacked
Until
before.
Ragnarok.
Until
Thor.
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So that's why it aggravates me and it irks me when people say, "Oh, Jormungandr's evil," or "He's not misunderstood. He's the bad guy." He's not the bad guy.
So could they look at it like this, honestly? Because I've heard Jormungandr be called the nemesis of Thor.
Yep.
But what if, I mean, yes, Thor sees him as a nemesis, but have you ever had someone who didn't like you, but you were like, I don't really care about you? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that. Like, I'm your nemesis. I'm going to crush you. He's like, okay, bud.
Yeah.
And then finally, after being antagonized, you're like, all right, fine, we're having it out. We're nemesis now.
Right.
Whatever. And it is a necessity. And I do want to kind of go back to something you had said about Jormungandr being a necessity. We have to remember that just because it's a necessity doesn't make it an evil thing. Like, if you look at things from the other lens, for all of this, you'll get a different story.
Yes.
I've talked with people who are Rocketru instead of Asatru, and they're like, no, what do you mean? Fenrir's obviously the victim here. He did nothing wrong. He's a good puppy, and I'm going to hug him at Ragnarok.
Right.
I've heard that. Actually, I've said that. I've said that. Because I love dogs. I love wolves. I definitely not fighting him. I'm going to go fight somebody else. If I get to Ragnarok. Or when, well, not when, because we all
Right. All I'm saying is, before people go out judging Jormungandr, look at it from Jormungandr's point of view perspective. That's all I'm saying. He's in the water, so he's in his, what I would consider his house. He gets pulled up out and struck with a hammer.
Yeah.
Anybody in their right mind is going to defend themselves, absolutely.
He didn't even defend himself. He just tried to pull Thor in.
No, that's what I'm saying. Anybody in their right mind is going to try to defend themselves.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So that's all I'm saying, and I feel like more or less the same thing you were saying with Fenrir. Before you try to judge them or label them, try to look at it through their point of view, their perspective.
And even if you don't agree with what I'm saying here, you should probably not just attack somebody who does agree with what I'm saying,
right.
just because they don't believe like you do. That's like Christians attacking Muslims when they have primarily the same belief system. Mm-hmm. We're arguing over a very small part of this. Mm-hmm. And I've seen a lot of hate.
Well, yeah.
I've seen a lot of, this person's evil, that person's evil.
It doesn't matter what branch of paganism you are. All pagans need to stand together anyway.
If you're pagan, you believe in the cycle of life. It's generally a thing that pagans believe.
Yes.
For a cycle of life, a cycle of destiny, you have to understand that certain players have to do certain things. Tyr himself was saddened by having to lock his friend away, but he knew it must be done.
Yep.
He didn't... Just listen to what I'm saying here. An Aesir god did not want to lock away Fenrir, had to lock away Fenrir. Had to. And was saddened, even in Loki's Senna, when Loki is talking before Thor gets there and cussing everyone out and saying, "Oh, you're a whore, you're a sissy, I slept with your wife, you're a coward," all these things. He says, "Shut up, Tyr, for my son took your hand." And Tyr, in no malice, says, "I lost my hand, you lost a son, we've both lost deeply this day. Let's let bygones be bygones," or something to that effect.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's not written that way, but it's also...
I believe Sif interjects at that point. I'm sorry. After that, Loki says, "Shut up, Tyr." Very angrily, "Shut up, Tyr. I slept with your wife and I haven't given you a penny. You pay for my son." Now, what's the payment there? I have theories. We're not getting into this. This is not a theory video. We will get to a theory video. It's good. It's good. Okay?
It was fair. There's the verses, actually, right there.
All right. Yes. So, here's the exact verses. He is going in on Njord. He says, "Stop now, Njord. Keep some moderation. I won't keep it secret any longer. With your sister, you got that son. Thought that's not worse than might be expected." Tyr said, "Freyr is the best of all the bold riders in the courts of the Aesir. He makes no girl cry, nor any man's wife, and looses each man from captivity. Be silent, Tyr. You could never deal straight between two people. Your right hand, I must point out, is the one which Fenrir tore from you. I've lost a hand, but you've lost the famous wolf. Evil brings pain to us both. It's not pleasant for the wolf who must in shackles wait for the twilight of the gods. Be silent, Tyr. It happened that your wife had a son by me. Not all ell of cloth nor a penny have you ever had for this injury. And then Freyr speaks out, a wolf I see lying before a river mouth until the powers are torn asunder. Next you shall be bound unless you fall silent, smith of evil. Now, yes, they call him evil there, but evil didn't mean evil. Like,
right.
There are two types of evil. There's not good and evil in Norse paganism. There is evil deeds, or people who do evil deeds, or violence, aggression. And again, these are people who are mad at him for killing Balder at this point. They're going to call him evil at this point. So, I call somebody evil too. They killed my son. They come in and call my wife a whore and my friend a fucking sissy.
Yep.
I'm going to be pretty pissed off. Like, shut the fuck up, you evil motherfucker. I will beat your ass. Wait till Thor gets here.
That's right.
I do find it funny that Fenrir and Jormungand are the ones destined to do what they have to do and have no choice in the matter, are seen as evil, but Hel and Sleipnir are not. Right. Even though they're not destined to do what they do, and Hel still turns against the gods, even though she's not destined to do so.
And they're still children of Loki.
So some children of Loki are cool because the gods like them.
Right.
But some aren't because the gods don't.
Just like Sleipnir. He's still a child of Loki. But because he is Odin's steed, people don't look at him like they look at the other children of Loki.
Right. Because Odin accepts him.
Because Odin accepts him. Odin likes him because it is his steed.
And he's a good steed. He's the best.
He is. He absolutely is. He's the best. But what's good for one's good for the other.
100%. You have to look at both sides of a conflict. You can't just take one side out of it. And I know we don't have much for the other side, but we can extrapolate things by what we know of Loki. He's never harmed anyone until he harmed Balder.
And he didn't harm Balder. His actions led to Balder being harmed.
Intentionally, to prove a point.
Intentionally, yes, but he physically didn't cause it.
And then again at Ragnarok.
Yes.
No, at Loki's Center where he stabs a servant. Sorry.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
Okay. Got anything else? Be nice to each other. We're all the same religion. There's no reason to fight with each other.
Why are we
You're
doing
a Thorsman. I'm a Tyrsman. He's a pagan.
Yeah, watch what you say here.
Yeah, I will. But we all follow the same path. We all take wisdom from Odin. Even people who praise Fenrir and say he's not evil, we're looking at him wrong, they still praise Odin or honor Odin. They still give to Odin. They can also give to Fenrir. Why is that? Why are we looking at it as evil versus good when we need to be looking at it as chaotic and violent? Because that's what it is. So, forgive me if I'm wrong. Please correct me. My interpretation or understanding to this point in my journey is Aesir are gods of order and judgment. Vanir are the gods of nature and birth and life and death cycles. Jotun are natural forces, gods of element and power, harsh wind conditions and survival things, where we get Scotty and Tyr from. They're all equally important. Some may say, well, I value judgment more. I value order and judgment more. 100% cool. Gotcha. Some may say, I value nature more. I go out on the trails every day. I speak with Freyr and Freya. I speak with Njord when I go to the oceans. Nothing wrong with that at all. But what we're saying here is, because another part is like, well, I also honor Jotun. Here, we're in the South, hurricane season. You know, they're terrifying. They're scary. They'll mess you up. But we'll be on the porch drinking beer watching it because it is a sight to see.
Right.
It is a marvel to see a hurricane. It's called a hurricane party. Y'all should try it out.
Yeah, they're great. They're awesome.
They're freaking pretty dope. I don't remember the last one too much, but it's cool.
Hey, right.
The fear goes away pretty quick.
Yeah, with the alcohol it does.
But we're okay with people who like order, being like, okay, the Vani are cool because nature as well, but we're gonna shun away anything dark. You're locking yourselves out of things.
Well, you're keeping yourself from getting certain wisdom and information.
Yeah.
Because if you're only... Go ahead.
Wasn't it Odin who went to speak with giants to get wisdom? The savage beasts of Jotun? It's weird. It's weird. Just saying. Go ahead and listen to this guy.
How do I word this? If you're only focusing on the gods that you may label as good, and you're not focusing on the gods that you may label as bad, okay, well, you might label them as bad even though they're not inherently bad, but you're missing out on a lot of information, a lot of wisdom that they can still give you.
You can learn a lot from the savagery of Fenrir.
Yes.
You can learn much from the savagery and power of Sutur.
Yes.
Fire burns all at Ragnarok.
Yes.
So you need to understand and you need to look into that because we look into the gods to temper ourselves, right? Generally. So to not look to Sutur to understand that rage can be all consuming and you can learn that from him even if you don't like what he does. And I'm not saying you have to like what he does. You're locking yourself out of that.
You're cheating yourself from certain wisdom and information.
And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Cheat yourself from whatever wisdom. If you only care about only Odin and everything, that's good. Whatever you want to do, I don't care. But don't turn around and then attack somebody who is learning different wisdoms from you.
Well, we don't need to fight against each other. We need to be helping each other. We don't need to be fighting. Oh well, I'm a tearsman. You're a follower of Loki, so we're going to fight. No, we should set the biases aside, set emotions aside, come together, talk, and then you learn more. And we shouldn't be fighting against each other. All this anger and hate that I see online between a pagan and a pagan, it shouldn't happen.
Misconceptions. I myself have been told that there's no way that anyone ever honored Loki in the past because Tacitus doesn't say so. Well, we know they did. We know that they did personally at home as a way to ward off mischief. They would ask Loki, "Hey, Loki, please don't cause me mischief today." He wasn't a big deity that they would do giant offerings and sacrifices to, because you generally don't want to invite just mischief on you. It's not generally a good idea. But you should still learn from them.
Yes. You absolutely should. And whether y'all want to believe it or not, I'm a follower of Loki. First time I've said that out loud, but I am. I know it. He knows it. It's okay.
I kept that.
But
that was good.
He has. There's a lot you can learn from him. There's a whole lot you can learn from Loki. When you put away your biases, you put away your emotions. There's a whole lot you can learn from Loki. A lot of good wisdom, a lot of good information you can learn from Loki. Don't cheat yourself out of that just because of your emotions or your bias.
And to that same effect, even if they never venerated Loki or, Fenrir or Jormungandr, even if they never did in the past, don't cheat yourself now. We're not Vikings, okay?
We're not.
We're not in 10,000 AD or whatever. Like
he's not. I'm not.
We're on a computer right now.
We're not. We're not Vikings.
We're not Vikings.
Pagans. Yeah. Norsemen, if you prefer that.
We can take the old and add to it and to create something new
for the modern world
that helps us the same way our ancestors were helped. We can be like our ancestors, but we'll never be our ancestors. No. If that's how you choose to live your life, if you want to just live in a cabin, that's cool. That's what you do.
That's right.
You're probably not watching this video though.
You might be, but
maybe.
If you're living in a cabin, you got more important things to do than watch YouTube.
100%. Also, send us a picture of the cabin. It's probably beautiful. So, we made this video because this is the Norse Nexus. We want to talk to everybody. We want to have this dialect. We want it to be nice, civil, and respectful.
Yep.
But hit us in the comments. Let's talk. I'll be checking them out and everything.
We want to help people. And no attacking people in the comments either.
No.
Don't do that, okay? Don't attack somebody's beliefs in the comments.
It's like 98% of this video was y'all stop attacking each other.
Yeah, don't
honestly.
do that. That's not cool. So.
All right. Y'all have a good day. And this has been the Norse Nexus. Skull.